Well, many people lost their jobs for refusing the COVID-19 vaccines. One of those was Dicky Barrett, the now former lead singer with the Mighty Mighty Bosstones, who not only lost the band, but also his job as the announcer for Jimmy Kimmel for refusing the vaccine. But luckily, he has a great comeback story. Dicky, along with Pete Parada, who also lost his band for refusing the vaccine, and others, he was with the Offspring. They've now formed a new band called the Defiant. And we have Dicky on the show tonight. Really excited to talk to him. He's going to tell us more about what happened. But first, let's play a clip from the Defiant's new song that they just put out in support of RFK Jr. called Take Back the Power.
What's your plan for tomorrow? Are you a leader or will you follow? Will you fight back or will you cower? It's our time to take back the power. What's your plan for tomorrow? Are you a leader or will you follow? Will you fight back or will you cower? It's our time to take back the power. What you gonna do when they show up in black suits on your street and I'm in boots? And the veil silence you. What you gonna say when they strip your rights away and the tax man makes you pay for every beat of sweat you bled today? We don't need to run and hide. We won't get pushed off to the side. What's your plan for tomorrow? Are you a leader or will you follow? Will you fight back or will you cower? It's our time to take back the power. What's your plan for tomorrow? Are you a leader or will you follow? Will you fight back or will you cower? It's our time to take back the power.
Dicky Barrett, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
It's nice to be here, Kim. How are you?
I'm great. My husband's a huge fan. I've always been a big fan of yours as well. So it's really cool to talk to you. And I know a lot of people
Drummer is an
watching are
enormous
big
fan of
fans.
yours.
Pete
He
Parada
stepped
is
all
the
over. He's a huge fan of yours.
Oh, that is so great. That is so nice to hear. Well, you guys have this great new band, The Defiant. I want to get into before we get more into The Defiant and the new song that you guys just came out with, Take Back the Power, in support of RFK Jr. I want to talk about your background. You and Pete have a very similar background. I don't know about the rest of the band members in The Defiant, if you guys have the same sort of the same issue that during the COVID-19 pandemic, there was all these vaccine mandates. And I know with Pete, he was told take the vaccine and he didn't want to do that and ultimately got booted out of the Offspring. What happened with you? Did you have the same sort of, you were working for Jimmy Kimmel, you didn't want to get the vaccine. Tell us what happened.
Well, the Jimmy Kimmel Live show is owned by Disney. And so I was an employee of Disney. And a mandate came down that all of the Disney employees, everybody from the guy that wears the mouse costume at the park to the guy that announces on Jimmy Kimmel Live, every Disney employee had to get the vaccine. And I was, pussyfooting around, looking the other way, hoping, no one would notice me. But I had zero intention of getting that COVID shot or any other shot that they were going to mandate or come at me with. So at some point, it became obvious to everybody that I worked with that that's what I was going to do. And at the time, we were working remotely, so it made it easier to hide in plain sight. But then the higher ups found out that I wasn't going to do that, and then I sort of and I couldn't pretend that I was going to do that either. At that time, I had no intention of saying, "Oh, getting a fake card," which was offered from people, and I needed to appear vaccinated at some point, and then I couldn't do that because I was in the Mighty Mighty Bosstones, and people, respected my opinion and the things I had to say, and I couldn't go against my beliefs and signal to people that I believed in what was going on. So it became very, very tricky. And I also didn't necessarily want to be the poster child for the whole thing, but I wasn't going to, like I said, I know many, many people in the business that are pretending that they did or pretended that they did, or, but I couldn't, I had to kind of sort of go on record,
Yeah.
you know, why are you not working at this TV show anymore that you worked at for 20 years? Well, they had a policy that I didn't agree with, and I didn't do it. Am I making any sense?
Yeah.
I don't want to
Yeah.
disappoint. I don't want to disappoint your husband.
What I'm trying to figure out though is so I have to admit that I don't ever watch Jimmy Kimmel. So I don't
Okay.
know how did you were the announcer for his show, so did you have to physically be there? Like why wasn't it just your voice?
It was my voice, but the way it's sort of old school, kind of antiquated, Johnny Carson style late night television show, which is, as we speak, going the way of the dodo. Other people are doing much bigger numbers, and the price and the cost it to put on a show like that is huge. So you have a
Yeah.
live band there every night, you have an announcer there every night, and I was employed in
Okay.
that, and eventually, as the show is, as the show goes, everybody had to be back in the studio, and I had to be back
Okay.
again.
So
So
even
did I
as the
really have to be?
announcer,
No, no,
so
I didn't.
okay. So even as the announcer, they required you to be in studio to be there and they wanted you
Yeah,
there. Okay.
right.
So that's why they were like, you have to be vaccinated to come back in or something.
Yes, you have to be
Okay.
back. Well, as a Disney employee, if I was working at home still, I was supposed to
Right.
be vaccinated. All Disney
You've been
employees are
working.
supposed to be vaccinated.
Isn't that so
And
ridiculous? Even working at home.
to Jimmy, in fairness to Jimmy, he kicked it down the road as long as he could for me. We were friends for 20 years, and I say we still are friends.
Yeah.
As you pointed out just before we started this interview, he put the Defiant on his television show, and
Yeah.
against his own viewpoint on the whole thing, and his opinions. I asked him, could we play your show, and he said yeah, and I said great, and we got on there and delivered our message, which
What happened with the Mighty Mighty Bosstones?
all of that stuff was going on, and you know Bobby Kennedy actually reached out to me and said, I heard what's going on with you on your television show, and showed support and asked me to create a song for him that he was going to use for a medical mandate rally in Washington, D.C. And I said,
Mhm.
okay. I'm Irish Catholic from Boston. And, the whole time I'm talking to him, I'm like, oh my God, my father's going to die when I tell him Bobby Kennedy's son called
Yeah.
me. And
Yeah.
so, it's as weird and fanboy as that might sound, like I said, I come from an Irish Catholic family in Boston, and the Kennedys were everything growing up. And as lame as that sounds politically, that's just, and a little insight into me. So, um, he wanted me to make a song. I was, figuring out, oh, my world is caving in here and crashing down on me. What do I do? And Bobby Kennedy Jr. asked me to help make this song, and I did, and that got some attention that the rest of the guys in the band didn't like, because
Really?
at that mandate rally he was, painted. He made a comment where he compared what was going on to Anne Frank and Nazi Germany, and
Sort
then
of,
that
right?
was taken.
He didn't yeah, he didn't really make that. I mean, what he said was at
Well,
least,
you know that,
with
and I know that, Kim.
yeah, right, right. But he was
But
saying
they
like the technology and with the way they can track us now that we can't really it's harder to hide than and
Yes,
yeah, that was kind of the point. But they made it into, oh my gosh, he's comparing
he's
the
anti-Semitic.
unvaccinated to Jews in the Holocaust. Right, yeah, and he's an anti-Semite. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that was, it just became very uncomfortable. Plus, they knew that I was not going to get vaccinated, and they were wondering what's the future of the band, and the industry is telling us. I had said early on and long before any of this was coming down, I said there's going to come a time where they're going to say, in order for us to play these venues, we're going to have to get these shots. And I'm telling you right now that I'm not going to do it. I'm not afraid of it. I'm not, I've done many stupid things in my life, but this is something that I'm not going to do. I'm not going to show that I'm into this, or just do it just to do it, or because I think I felt it was bigger than that. I felt that
Yeah.
it was saying more than just I can do it and I want to play, you know,
Okay,
Madison
but
Square Garden.
I mean, you were the front man for Mighty Mighty Bosstones. So what were they thinking they could do? Like, what were they gonna?
No,
So
they
you did.
didn't. They just pulled the plug on it, Kim. They didn't think that they could
Why?
be.
Why
They're
would you?
not
Why would?
crazy.
That sounds kind of crazy to me, actually, to disband a band. I mean, with Pete, I could understand where the Offspring would be like, well, because, and I can say this as a drummer myself. You're just the drummer. Like, we'll just get rid of the drum. We'll replace the drummer. Nobody knows who the drummer is on bands anyway, right? Like, who is the Beatles drummer? Most people can't even name. So drummers, I can understand where they're like, we're just going to move you out and move another guy in. And a lot of bands have various different drummers or different bass players anyway. So, okay, but the front man, that's a whole different thing. I mean, the band goes away. I mean, there's been rare instances where they could replace a front man and it actually works out. Uh,
You
I don't even
you're
know if I can
spot
really think of,
on.
yeah.
In 40 years, had a good run. I mean, our second show we played live was Gravy. The Bosstones probably never should have been a thing in the first place. And so most of the guys said, "Oh, all right, this is the end." I mean, it wasn't. I was the announce him alive. There's the bass player is a professor in Vermont, and everybody has other sources of income. Me at the time, I didn't, because I was being same
Uh-huh.
time. But so it was that kind of, the world isn't dying for the next Mighty Mighty Bosstones album. We loved making them, and our fans and the people that supported us and who we love, and I still love to this day. Maybe they were, but I think it was that kind of thing. And the Offspring are a
So,
different.
okay.
They could tour forever.
So you're saying like it was kind of the end anyway. It was just sort of the nail in the
Yeah.
coffin for the group. Okay.
Well, we had just put on an album, but I think that, I think, like I said, we had a nice run.
Yeah. All right. So tell me about the Defiant then. So I know you and Pete both had the same sort of situation. Then the band didn't like the fact you didn't want to get vaccinated. What about the other guys? Who else is in this band?
A guy named Greg Camp, who wrote some of the most popular Smash Mouth songs. A guy named Johnny Rio, who played for a Boston punk band called the Street Dogs, and a guy named Joey LaRocca, who is a guitar player for a band from LA called the Briggs. And we're all like-minded. We all have the same heads. We all have the same hearts, and we really enjoy being around each other. We started out writing songs thinking, we'll give this a try. This is what we do. This is in our blood. So we'll give this a shot. And if it doesn't work, you would have been. When we started writing songs that we really liked and songs that said something, it meant something, and we felt would mean something to a lot of people who felt the way we did. And to make it clear, believe in people's medical freedom and them to make their own choices. And we're not crazy QAnon guys or heavy MAGA guys. We're just five guys with families and who like to write songs that believe that what went on during COVID was absolutely ridiculous. And Pete should have never lost his drumming job, and I don't believe Disney should have fired me from the television job. But that's it. And in a scale of 1 to things that suck for people during COVID and the lockdowns and all that went on, you got to put us at about a 2 or a 3. There are people that, lost family members and people that lost jobs and people that lost businesses that existed for years. And, and the repercussions and the fallout and we'll be feeling for years, what we did to kids in schools and so.
Yeah. Have you thought about, I mean, I know Gina Carino is,
You can,
she's suing Disney. Have you thought about suing Disney?
I thought about it, but early on, I figured they have a lot of money and they'd just probably, drag it out and it'd go on and on. And just, I mean, if you got a good lawyer, Kim, I'll reconsider it. Um, yes, I've thought about it.
We're unfortunately getting a kind of
Like I said,
a
it's,
we're our connection's not the best right now, Dicky. Unfortunately, we're kind of losing you.
oh no,
Yeah, it's a
it's
little
Disney.
yeah, they're probably interfering right now. We're getting all these
It's
people are
my
interfering with
phone.
this interview. But we're going to leave it here, Dicky, because our reception's a little bit bad. But this has been such a pleasure talking to you. We're going to, the Defiant has this new song out. Take Back the Power is the song. Really cool that you guys are supporting RFK Jr. All of you support him? Is that like a group thing, or is it some of you and the other guys are like, yeah, it's a cool song?
No, one guy is supporting Kamala. No, all of us. Um, yeah, and you've got to, when you make a video, videos have themes and videos have messages, and we all see Bobby Kennedy president. So we made the video. That was our theme. That was our concept.
Okay. All right, Dicky. Thank you so much for being here. It's so great to see you. And best of luck with your new band, The Defiant. And sorry, we're just losing you. We're losing you. So sorry about
All
that,
right.
Dicky. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye. Hey guys, this was just a clip of a longer show. Catch the full show by going to KimIversonShow.com. It is free. It airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. You could go back now and watch this full interview. I highly recommend it. Again, go to KimIversonShow.com. Thank you so much for watching.